All right, let's talk about the famous newborn stage. This is a stage that is such a blur, but at the same time, I remember it like it was yesterday. And so, for those of you who have a newborn or are pregnant and are going to have a newborn at some point in the future, definitely listen to this episode because I'm going to give you, I think, some of the biggest insights that I have for moms of little ones in that newborn stage so that you have the most amount of, insight into what to expect during this specific stage and how to manage it as best as you can. Their wake windows at this age are going to be very, very short. They can't be up for long periods of time. And those short wake windows include the length of the feed. So you might find yourself with a baby who wakes up and eats and burps and is up for maybe 5 minutes and then needs to go back to sleep. And that's totally fine. And it's all within the realm of normal. Just don't expect the exact same thing in terms of nap duration and predictability, because at this stage, it's just not going to happen. Babies in this age range are also usually very sleepy, especially in those first few weeks. I found with my own kids that they didn't become more alert with their eyes, wide open for those first few weeks. I think until they reached that 5 or 6 week mark when I could tell that they were actually aware of their environment and surroundings, which was really wonderful. I remember Amuna gave us her first smile when she was, I think, 6.5 or 7 weeks. And she definitely knew, she recognized me, she recognized my husband. It was really adorable. But for those first few weeks, all your little one is going to be doing is waking up and eating and sleeping and pooping. Rinse and repeat over and over and over again. And if they are very sleepy throughout that entire period, it's again, all within the realm of normal. Something else to just keep in mind when it comes to this specific newborn stage is that as exhausting as it is to have a baby that is waking up multiple times a night to eat throughout the night, I suppose the consolation prize for being that exhausted is that you also have a baby who is very mobile, right? Naps on the go are fine at this age. Let your little one nap in a baby carrier, in the stroller, in the car, while you're grabbing groceries, while you're bumming around the mall, while you're at the park with your toddler. It's all fine because, again, there is no schedule at this point. The naps are going to happen very frequently throughout the day with very short wake windows, and the nap durations themselves are going to be very inconsistent. And it is totally fine to have many, many naps on the go. If I were to tell you in this stage to have many naps happening at home, that would literally keep you housebound because a newborn can barely be up for an hour before needing to go back to sleep. So this is that stage where, even though it is a physically exhausting one, it's also a stage that probably allows you the most amount of flexibility when it comes to their sleep needs, because they're sleeping all the time and the naps can happen all the time and they're always happening on the go. So I would just say, roll with it and enjoy the flexibility that this stage offers you. Now, if you are nursing and your little one is going through a growth spurt, it can be a bit of a tough 24 to 48 hour period for you because, in essence, your body and your milk supply has to catch up to the needs of your baby. Now, for the majority of people who are able to nurse without any problems and they don't suffer from low milk supply, your supply will catch up to your baby's needs. But it can take that 24-hour period or so for your supply to catch up. It's not going to happen instantly, right? Versus if you are bottle feeding, then the growth spurt might not feel as difficult because all you have to do is just put more milk into that bottle and then boom, your baby's eating more. So just keep that in mind. I know that as a breastfeeding mom myself, when my babies were going through growth spurts, often I was petrified that my milk supply was going down. and that there was a problem with my nursing, that there was a problem with the latching or something was happening, when really the reality was, no, the nursing was just fine. My baby was just growing. Their appetite was increasing, and my milk supply had to catch up to the further demands of my baby's feedings. And so don't sweat it. Like within about, that 1 to 2 day period, the craziness of these growth spurts, should subside. If I recall, there's numerous growth spurts that happen within the first 3 weeks of the baby's life. And then there's a very well-known growth spurt that happens at the 5 to 6 week mark. But honestly, you might not even notice any of these growth spurts. Like, I just want to put it out there. When I say that there is a well-known growth spurt that happens at that 5 to 6 week mark, first of all, it's not exact. It's not a by the clock type of thing where, the second your kid hits 6 weeks, it's like they turn into a pumpkin, clock strikes midnight. It's not like that, right? These are all approximations. Babies go through these growth spurts on their own timetable, but also remember that you might actually get off lucky in that your experience with your little one, with your newborns going through a growth spurt, might not be as terrible as my own experiences have been, or, other very common experiences of other moms have been. So you might not even realize that your little one just gained 1 or 2 pounds and you're going, oh my gosh, he's already outgrown all of his newborn sleepers. I didn't even realize it. And so sometimes your little one can go through a growth spurt and you won't even notice it. You won't even notice it until his clothes are too small on him. Now, the last thing that I will mention about this newborn stage is that it is an exhausting one. And I know that that might seem a little bit obvious, but I just wanted to put it out there that this is a stage where hopefully about halfway through, you'll be able to start getting some stretches of sleep. But during those first few weeks, especially if you're nursing and your milk supply is coming in and your baby's going through all these different growth spurts, it can be a stage that involves some sleepless nights. And I just want to send you, all the love and support that you need to get through that stage. Remember that it is a stage. It's not a way of life that you have to deal with forever. Thank God for that. We love our cute, adorable newborn babies, but we also, at the same time, love for that stage to come to an end so that you can start getting some sleep, right? And just remember that by the time your little one reaches that 16-week mark or so, that's when, if they haven't learned how to fall asleep by themselves, you can begin to teach them how to fall asleep on their own and give you really big stretches of sleep throughout the night so that they're only waking up maybe once to eat before going back to bed. So I want you to know that as exhausting as this stage is, it only needs to be short term. But when you're in the thick of things, I get that exhaustion can take over you, and it could be very tempting to find yourself falling asleep while your little one is in your arms. Maybe you're feeding and you're in the rocking chair or you're on the couch. Be very, very careful. It's extremely dangerous. And so avoid doing that as much as you can. If you know that your little one is going to be falling asleep, transfer him to a safe sleep space before you go to sleep yourself, because it is a very common scenario in the case of SIDS incidences. Unfortunately, a lot of the time when we hear about these SIDS cases, a very common scenario was the baby fell asleep in, mom or dad's arms. And I'm not saying this to be the least bit insensitive to the exhaustion that I have felt myself, that I have been through, 3 times now already. I totally, totally get it. But we still want to make sure that we're not doing anything dangerous in the name of getting sleep either. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And so to sum up, what can you expect in this newborn stage? They're not going to give you much of a schedule. They're going to be very, very sleepy, very short wake windows. And the duration of the wake window is going to include the duration of the feed. But at the same time, this stage also allows for naps on the go and flexibility because there is no schedule. Though you will get quite a number of growth spurts that you may or may not feel, you may or may not, experience in your bones. And that is all within the realm of normal. And then just remember that as exhausting as this stage is, they will be an infant that you can sleep train sooner than you think. So I hope that this was helpful, everyone, and that you all have a fantastic day. Take care.